Hello, welcome to my channel, Rezo here. Okay, here I am. Hi everybody. I'm gonna be here just a few seconds and I don't have too much room on the screen. Okay, let's paint a new portrait today. Here I have the colors: titanium white, Naples yellow, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, raw umber, ultramarine blue, and ivory black. Okay. First, I'm gonna work with the two photographs here. You see the upper one. I created that one with a filter in Photoshop. I'm gonna show you all how I do that. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, here's Photoshop. Here's the photograph. Okay, everybody hears me okay? Okay, okay. Here on the upper part, you see it says File, Edit Image, Layer, Type, Select Filter. You press Filter, and you see Filter Gallery. I don't know if you'll see this, it pop-ups a new menu. Maybe it doesn't show on here. And then you're gonna see this on the screen. Okay. This, it says cut out. You see so many different filters. Here it says artistic, brush strokes, distort, sketch, style, stylize, and texture. You pick up artistic. The second one is cut out. And then you choose how many levels: 6, 7, 8, 5, 4. For this one, I think I have chosen 4 or maybe 5. Yeah, 4. And let me show you all different filters. This one is one that you could use too. It's pretty nice. Okay. And then you got this photograph. Maybe it was, I think, before the pandemic that I saw this somewhere. I don't remember. Maybe, because it's Photoshop, I think I saw it in an illustration channel and how they use that. And I thought it was just perfect to use it, for painting. Because the idea is simplify painting at the beginning. Make it so simple that you can just, let's say, mix just 4 or 5 values and get a face, at least something really close. And obviously paying attention to the more important part of painting. That's obviously first drawing and next values. Okay, while as I'm speaking, I'm gonna draw. Can you hear me okay? Hello, White Tigris. Hello, Mahas. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Sylvia. Hello, Fatih. Hello, Monique. Okay, I'm gonna start sketching. I'm gonna use raw umber. Okay, I'll use this brush. A little bit of raw umber. Okay, let's see. First, I usually sketch just the overall shape of the face. Okay, next thing that I do, I just traced the center line of the face. Just be sure that how tilted is the face. Okay. Now I start measuring. Okay. I use about measuring. Check out the book of Andrew Loomis' book. This is how to draw hands, the head and hands. Okay, from the eyebrows to the nose, from the nose to the chin. I think you all know this because I keep repeating this all the time. I split this in 3 portions and I sit the eyes on top of this line. I split this in 2 and I sit the mouth here. Okay. Now for the eyes, I'm thinking that there are 5 eyes from the contour of the face, from one side of the face to the other side of the face. Okay, and between the eyes there is 1 eye. And the width of the nose is just the width of 1 eye. Okay. Hello, Eric. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Linda. Okay. And now I'm going to draw the eyebrows, the shadow below the nose, the cast shadow here, the mouth around here. Okay. Okay. The same way that the width of the nose is the same width of 1 eye. Obviously, that change from person to person. We can just check out the corner of the mouth here and align it with the inner portion of the iris, and the same for the other eye. Okay. Now, something simple. Obviously, you can just draw this, spend an hour on the drawing. Obviously, that's better if you put more time. I love kind of drawing and painting at the same time. And I prefer to see more on my canvas to be able to compare. Obviously, when I compare and it's, let's say, kind of close, I'm able to get even closer to the lightness. I mean, not 100%, but enough to see the face. Okay. Now, let's start mixing some values. You see the upper photograph, you can count the values. The darker one, that will be now 1 value. On the forehead, okay, here, there's 1 value here. Second one, the third one, and the fourth one. Okay, on Photoshop, you can just create like 6, 7, 8 values. It's up to you. Let me show you all again. Okay, now here is Photoshop. I hope you all can see this. Okay, you'll see this. Okay, now the thing is that I'm going to put it back again. Filter gallery, and here are the filters. Levels 4, 5, 6, 7, up to 8. You see a lot of values on the face. Okay, that's too much. 8, 7, or 6, that's a good number. Okay, okay, let's continue. Now, how many values we can count on the upper photograph? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, number 4, that's going to be just raw umber with a touch of camion red. I want to keep this transparent. Okay, this raw umber is Rembrandt, and if you have used Rembrandt, you know the raw umber Rembrandt. If you make it really thin, it's kind of greenish. It's a greenish brown. Then that's why adding a touch of red to make it a little bit warmer, but to keep it transparent. Okay. As you see, I don't have too much paint here. Now let's mix the value number 1. I'm just gonna mix orange, maple yellow, and red. I'm gonna knock down this color with a touch of raw umber. Okay, and white. Okay, you know the photograph is black and white. Uh, the skin color, just think that it's just simple color. Let's imagine that the skin color is blue. What would you do? You're gonna mix a value scale of blue colors, like a light blue, a mid-tone, a darker blue to a darker blue. Just that. Now the skin color is what? It's a kind of knockdown orangey color with some reddish variations. Okay, but obviously there are more reflected lights, and depending on the light, the source light, like it's warmer, it's cooler, things like that. But we think simple. Okay, we move from just something simple to something more uh, complex and with more details and colors. Okay, let's say this is gonna be my value number one. Okay, and I pick up a new brush, and this is what we do on the Patreon sessions. Okay, second one, I'm gonna make this a little bit darker. Okay, I need more yellow. Okay, this Naples yellow is pretty like weak. I'm gonna use this Cammy medium light from Pibio. The Naples yellow is from Rembrandt. Okay, this is better. Value number two, adding more white and raw umber. I want to knock down this color. I think it's too saturated. Okay, number two. At the end, I'm gonna go over these values and check out if I gotta just change some of those colors and values. Okay, hello Michael, hello Bob, hello John John, hello Weria, hello Rokia. Thank you. Hello Marius. Okay, I'm gonna mix more of this one. Okay, let's start with the darker one. Now, first step, we're gonna just copy the upper photograph. Okay. Obviously, we're not gonna copy exactly the same values. The upper photograph will show us a face that has like 100 values, let's say. And just the simplification is just we just see 4 values. We cannot expect to have everything here. I'm gonna just paint the darker one. I'm gonna make it really thin, as you can see. Not too much paint. If somebody has a question, just feel free to ask me, to let me know, ask me any question. Okay, let's see. The same both photograph. Okay. I'm mixing more. It's just raw umber and cadmium red. Okay, I got the darker value. The layer is thin. It's pretty thin. Okay, not too much paint. Now the second one. Let me compare. I think I need to make this a little bit lighter. Yeah, I just paint it a little bit. Yeah, a little bit lighter. More orange, yellow, and red. I remember it was like maybe, yeah, it was in the middle of the pandemic. They were just looking for some way to teach, find, or it was before, I don't even remember. But the thing is that I don't even remember where I found it, but it was not just one artist, it was so many artists that used this filter on Photoshop. But what I remember that it was in an illustrator. Obviously, they use this, Photoshop and all these programs. I basically just use Photoshop to crop the photographs, to change light contrast, and that's it. But it's just an amazing tool. Okay, this layer has a little bit more paint. No layer, I mean this value. Okay, let's see. Below the nose. Here. Something that's closer. I mean, I'm not gonna say that close, but this when I was a student, obviously we didn't have any of these tools, Photoshop or to get something like this. What it was really close, it was just drawing and painting and sculpture, a face that is made of planes. Okay, I kind of see some similarity with this, which is pretty good because it does a really good exercise that we used to do previous to paint a live model. Okay, now let's move to the next value. Let me check out. I think this is should be darker, or this one should be a little bit darker. I need, yeah, I'm gonna darken up this one. Okay. Now, when you're mixing this, obviously you notice that I'm changing the color, and that's okay. As you paint one value, you're gonna see the other ones. Okay, try to keep the canvas and the palette with the same value. That's better working on a gray palette. But you work in a gray palette, try to, add a coat of any color to your canvas, not a white canvas. I'm saying that because it's going to be easier to judge the values when you have the same value in the canvas and the palette. Otherwise, imagine that your palette is black. All these colors on top of a black palette, they're going to look lighter. And imagine the canvas is white. On your canvas, the colors are going to look darker. How are you going to be able to judge the difference? Okay, obviously that's the extreme. I'm thinking about contrast. But I try to reduce or minimize as much as possible anything that's going to just kind of, it's going to be an obstacle for me to copy, the photograph. Okay, I think that's better. Okay, I'm going to darken up this one a bit. Okay. I'm not thinking about his skin color, just thinking about skin color, lighter skin color, that's it. Okay, things that we all know about a man's face, this area is going to be a little bit greenish. Okay, and what we know about any face, that there's going to be some areas that are going to be reddish, because we know there is more blood on those areas, like the nose, the chin, the cheeks, and the eyelids. Okay. Okay, let's see. Looks like everything is okay. Now, if you start with a tight drawing, try to obviously try to preserve the drawing as much as possible. One way that would be just try not to touch the drawing with the paint. That means there's going to be a lot of blank areas. Okay, and then you start just filling in this spots with more paint. Like you see that the drawing is good, because we know one thing that happens when we put more paint and more paint, that we're starting to kind of mess up the proportions and the position of the eyes. Okay. Okay, I think that's okay. Okay. Now this layer. I'm gonna need more paint for this layer. This value. I know why I keep saying layer. If you paint with my video, I would love to see some of those paintings. You can tag me on, Facebook, on Instagram. I don't know, anywhere. Okay, I'm gonna need to mix more paint here. Okay, I think this is too dark. Let's see. Yeah, this is too dark. A little bit lighter. It's light and too opaque. I'm gonna add more yellow and red to make it a little bit colorful, a little bit orangey. Okay. Oh, what about the ears? You always forget paint the ears. Always forget to paint the ears. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna use just this one. No, this one. Yeah. One ear is here. I'm checking the alignment. The upper part of the ear is aligned with the eye. The lower portion is kind of be aligned with the lower portion of the nose, or the cast shadow, Okay, the other ear is around here. Now, what about the background? We can add a lot of color on the background. We can make it just mute. Somebody has any suggestion? Okay. Oh, hello Astrid. Hello Curly. Rokai says, I have a question. The paint you apply at the beginning before starting the drawing is also oil-based? No, it's acrylic. This is acrylic. It's just a mixture of orange and ultramarine blue. Hola Jesus. Gracias. Michael, seeing your instructions. Okay. Oh, that's pretty good, Michael. Thank you. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, we're checking the questions. Here, okay. I'm thinking about color. Okay. First, I'm gonna paint. I think is I don't know a t-shirt, or a shirt. Anyway, I'm gonna use just blue, ultramarine blue. Need a little bit of linseed oil. I don't have any linseed oil here. Okay, just blue and raw umber. Okay. Any suggestion about the background? I like the values I see. Obviously, there's light here, a little bit darker on the top. What about color? We could choose a simple contrast between complementary colors. The face, let's say, is kind of orangey. What's the complementary color of orange? Okay, blue. Okay, you have orange here, let's say, blue is here. Okay, we can choose between orange, let's say the orange is here. Blue, what color is next to blue? It could be a greenish blue, could be violet. We can create a use these two colors or these two colors. Okay. The opposite ones to the skin color. Obviously, when I speak about blue, I'm not saying pure blue. Imagine blue, you can just gray down blue, take out the color, move it blue to gray. You can just make it greenish, make it a little bit violetish, lighter, darker, more or less saturated by moving the color to gray or moving the color to orange. Okay, which is gonna be? Oh, white tigers saying bluish is good for background. Of violet and bluish, beautiful. Oh, okay. Okay, let's try that suggestion. I think bluish or around here and a little bit of violet here. Or the opposite. Light blue here and violet here. What's going to be better? A cool color, a cooler color on the top, a cooler color on the bottom. Now, if I use violet, I can just paint a little bit of that here too. Yeah? Okay. Anyway, now you got to this stage where you see the planes of the face. You can go over your drawing with a smaller brush, and after this we're gonna blend. We're gonna create a transition between these values. Okay, like I'm gonna do it here on the forehead. This could be a good exercise. If somebody is an absolute beginner about painting portraits, I think that's gonna be pretty helpful for you. Now, another thing that's pretty helpful to practice is the amount of paint. Sometimes we add too much paint, and sometimes we don't add enough paint. Okay, now let's look at the difference between the amount of paint that I have on the lights and the amount of paint that I have on the shadows. Okay, this is something that you want to replicate. That's going to help you to control. What's the goal? If I gotta say what's better, painting with more or less paint, I would say it's better painting with more paint. Okay? But there's a rule that we need more paint on the lights than the shadows. That creates more volume, and that's a way to keep the shadows transparent. Okay, now look at the blending. Okay, this is a clean brush. I keep cleaning the brush just like that. It's not like you don't need to smooth out completely the paint. Okay, you can do that, or you can just start adding more colors before blending. I'm gonna do this here. I'm gonna add a touch of red here and white. This is exactly what we do on Patreon sessions. Okay, look at that. We all know there is more reddish there. Okay, there. Or you can just, after blending, you can just go and put some red. It doesn't matter, one way or the other. You're gonna get to the same. Okay, now here it's darker, a darker red, darker, a darker red. Okay, now remember, you can do that, blend it first, and then add in the values. You choose what to do, what you think is better for you. It's not like this way is better or no. The result is the same. Okay. Now the same way you can add more colors, but as you add more color, remember you gotta respect these values. What about if I mix just green here? I want to be sure that this green is the same value as this one. Why? Because I'm gonna paint it on the same area. Where's the light here? Okay. As soon as the same value, everything is okay. If you pick up this and paint it here, okay, that's gonna be a problem. Now, continue, paint more and more and more. Keep an eye always on the values, okay? Okay, mix green here too. That's gonna be a darker green, obviously. I'm squinting down my eyes and seeing that I see the same value here. And I can paint here. Now, check out the color. Maybe it's too saturated. Maybe it's too opaque. When it's about color, it's what you like. Okay, maybe you like a more saturated paint. Okay, maybe you like a more mute paint. Okay. Okay. Let's blend this. need a clean brush for blending the nose. Okay. Okay, I found it. I love this one. Look at this. New, pointy, clean, and look at this. Look at this beauty. It's perfect for blending. But just use the tip of the brush. Okay, now let's go over the features. Hello, Carol. Hello, Art GMT. Okay. Hello, Branca. Okay, let's go over. I'm gonna mix raw umber and a touch of alizarin greens. Not too much paint, okay? Just the tip of my brush. I'm gonna draw here one eye. Okay, I'm gonna move to the other eye. Shadow. Clean the brush a little bit. I don't want to pick up a lighter color and then pollute my mixture. If I do that, I'm gonna end up with a, kind of milky shadow. I want a transparent shadow. Same way here. Next time I'm gonna prepare more like a orangey canvas. I'm gonna take advantage of this color, this transparent raw umber and alizarin crimson, and have I see the orange, the canvas. I can see a little bit there, but I was thinking, what if I just clean this up like this? I could see orange in there. That would be pretty nice, uh, it's gonna glow. Okay, let's see. Just working on one eye and then the next eye, the nose and the mouth. Okay. I was moving just a little bit on each area. I didn't stay that much in one eye. Okay, I need more raw umber. This is too reddish. Okay. Now I need, no, I'm gonna paint the background first. And then I was thinking about the lights on the face. Highlights, I need to see a highlight on the nose. But I think I'm gonna paint first the background. Our GMT saying Vinnie Jones with blusher and lipstick. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna change that in a minute. Okay. Oh, Russian evil cat is saying when I cannot draw a portrait, I always tell myself your phrase, more practice. I really love your works. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Hello, Sharon. Oh, hello. Astrid is asking me, do you use green close to the mouth because this is the opposite to red? Oh no, no, I did use it because of the skin color on a guy, on a man's face. You know, it's so clear the greenish color around this area. Just because of that. Um, when I'm trying to use the opposite colors, I use it in smaller areas, uh, just to play with the simultaneous contrast. That would be, for example, the nose, a touch of green here, and a red to make a bit to add more color to that shadow. Okay, I'm looking for a brush just to paint the background. I need a rough brush. Okay, I think this one is going to be useful. Yeah. Now, what about the background? Somebody suggested kind of bluish color and violetish. Let's mix this here. Well, that's too much, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna knock down this color. Yeah, I don't like it at all. A little bit of raw umber. Okay, I gotta be careful with the face. Oops, too much red. I just want a little bit of raw umber. Just pure raw umber. Okay. The background is going to be lighter here, lighter here. I don't like this color, you know? I think maybe something more, something a warmer color. I don't like it at all. I'm gonna looking down this with raw umber. I don't know why I think that maybe it should be just grayish, gray down color. Let's do this here. Okay. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, so a little bit of black. Okay. To be honest, I don't like this background. Maybe some orange. Okay, let's continue with. Now, obviously, at this stage, we just have 4 values. We blend it a little bit. We have some of the features. Okay, be careful. I would suggest just draw at this stage. Pick up a brush and use it as a pencil. Okay, now I'm gonna need to add more values and details. For example, something that I have seen on his face. This here. Okay, let's see. Let's continue. Okay, let's see about his face. This wrinkle here is pretty important to capture his expression. Okay. Now here too. Okay, let's see. Yep. Yep. Okay, squinting down my eyes, I see dark here, dark, the shadow, Gotta make it dark here, just pure raw umber. And since it's too reddish here, I'm gonna just knocking down the red with this pure raw umber. Okay, shadow here. Shadow here. Okay, it's just like I'm drawing the mouth. And something that I noticed, I don't have the darker shadow there. And this wrinkle that's pretty pronounced. Okay. Oh, hello, Sharon. Sharon saying good morning. Looking forward. Okay. I'm getting my own artwork ready for an exhibition in a couple of weeks. Oh, wow. So hopefully we'll watch you later tonight. Oh, congratulations, Cheryl Marie Art. Yeah. Hola, Sandro. Gracias. Okay. I'm gonna clean the eyes. Okay. I'm gonna add more light, highlights on the face. Looking for a brush. Just cleaning one brush here with paper towel. Okay. Let's add more white, a touch of yellow. Okay, I'm squinting on my eyes. Let's see. Light on the nose, the cheeks, forehead. The chin. Okay. I need something in between these values, this lighter one, these two light values to paint here. Okay, and then here, here, and here. Okay. Yeah, too much light. Eh? Mm. Yeah, too much light to the face. Anyway, let's continue. Uh, to fix this, I'm gonna just put more. I need to put more paint on top and make it darker. Now here on the forehead, I want to create the illusion that this is something rounded. Okay, it's not. What we used to do, remember, is when we paint eyebrows, we see the eyebrows that I don't see a sharp edge, but we tend to do this. Okay, something like that. Now, the eyebrow just goes on top of this eye socket, and the eye socket has a rounded form. When we just adding more values and start blending more, we need to think about that. Okay, we need to think about the primary form that is here beneath the surface. Thank you, D. Jafar. Oh, hello, Heidi. Thank you, Heidi. This is Art GMT saying get all your darkest darks in the first, then you don't have to worry about them. It's simple. Yeah, that's true. It's simple. Oh, the truth is that it's not simple, but let's say that sounds simple. Just was thinking about that. That's simple. I think there's nothing simple about painting a portrait, but maybe when we explain the rules, or let's say we explain, rules about values and all of that, they could sound simple, yeah. And when we speak about ages, yeah, it's kind of simple. The thing is just to put them down on the canvas. Trying to find the balance, that's pretty tricky. But we try that every time. Eventually we're gonna get the balance between, ages, values. Okay, now what I'm trying to do here in the mouth, for example, is just trying to create volume here and get the feeling that this is rounded. Remember that you gotta feel that this is kind of swollen here, and the same here. You see this bump? Okay. Think about that when you're painting. The simple way to think about that is just there's just one way, I think. Is practice painting or drawing a sphere. Okay, I think you all have seen that everywhere. That's the base to understand how to create volume on any rounded form, and the face obviously is a rounded form. Okay, let's see. Stepping back, comparing. Yeah, okay. Now you got to this stage to continue. You notice I added more details, but we need more. You see the face, there are here some values that shows obviously the muscles, the bones. Look at this area here. That's the cheekbone. It's pretty clear. And here there's another value that shows the cheekbone. Okay. The shadows here, so, subtle midtones here. We need to put them down, all of them. Okay. We're gonna when we start getting those values, those midtones, we start getting closer with the likeness. That's okay at the beginning to have some flat areas because we started with just few colors, few values. Okay. Now as you continue painting, don't remember, just try to respect the value structure. Light, midtones, and shadows. Don't break up that. If you notice that your shadows now maybe doesn't look that dark, you just repaint then. But don't paint, let's say, this value here on top of where you see this value. Keep an eye on the upper photograph. You can just always make the shadow darker. See, as soon as I don't paint anything, any lighter value here, I can repaint this and make it darker. Okay, I found this brush. I was looking for this brush. Okay, see this, the shadow here. Now I'm gonna paint this shadow. I'm thinking, first, obviously copy the position of this shadow, thinking about the bone and the muscle, and now we're still thinking about how to make it rounded. Okay, you got light here. We move into a midtone to a shadow. On the shadow, there, we need to create the illusion that this is turning. Okay, you paint here this shadow there. You need to paint a reflected light. It's pretty subtle. This is pretty subtle, but it's there. Let's use this value here. Reflected light here, which is going to be lighter than the shadow that's to the left, but darker than the light that is here. Okay. Now this, now you see, is we gotta go over this again and again. Okay, we got that. We got the volume on this area. It's not just one shadow, no, midtone, light midtone and shadow. Okay, I don't know if you notice the midtone, darkest shadow, that's what we call the core shadow, a reflected light, and then obviously the light in this area. Okay, the same happens here on this portion. There's gonna be another shadow here. Okay. Now, light, mid-tone, shadow, or reflected light. And then the darker shadow on the contour of the face. Oops, that's too much. Too much alizarin crimson. Okay. This is the tricky part because sometimes we just paint a mid-tone and the shadow. We forget about the reflected light. And sometimes we don't see it. That's okay. When we know it, we gotta paint it. This reflected light creates the illusion that the form is turning. There's a shadow called shadow reflected light. Okay. Okay. Oh, see, we're saying I think that it's not simple to create the shape of the face, but I like to paint the eyes and the hair. Okay, the hair. Yeah. Okay. I want to paint the hair. A little bit of raw umber and black. I'm gonna move this eye a little bit up. There. I clean the brush. And this one a little bit up too. Clean the brush. It was a couple of days ago. I was going to eat to a restaurant, and I just saw an old friend with his wife, and now his wife is the principal of the School of Art right now. That was pretty nice. We spent there like an hour just speaking about old times. Yeah. That was pretty nice. He's a teacher and she's the director. Director, principal, I don't know how they call it. But she's the boss. Now the School of Art here is being through a lot of changes. Like maybe 10 years ago, I started to change to a more, let's say, modern approach, where it was more about modern art, installations, a lot of things, more creativity. Before it was more about just drawing and painting portraits. That's what we call the academy. No portraits, I mean realistic, like a good drawing. You know, it was like that changed a lot. To be honest, I haven't gone to the School of Art in years. Yeah. And my friend told me to go to the School of Art to teach. That was pretty nice. That's something that, and that's amazing for me. It's just that's just my friend telling me, and the principal telling me, "Hey man, you're pretty good to teach here." I don't think I'm that good teaching. We always learning and always learning and practicing. But the thing is that I get the offer. Obviously, I cannot. It's just too difficult. I taught once in the School of Art. It was like 4 years ago, 4, 5, 6. So difficult. It's so difficult. First, it's just like the classes. You think, okay, that's pretty nice. You go to teach, you go home, and that's it. But there is always kind of homework. There looks like there are more homework for the teachers than for the students. You gotta be always, filling papers, and after every class, you gotta go to the principal office to listen all the teachers and all the things that they're planning to do. They're gonna do. I mean, that's pretty nice. I think I learned a lot of things that year, and in that year I painted. I painted a lot of portraits, more for like a live demos, and that was pretty nice for me. Even that, it's always kind of. I mean, you don't feel like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Just gonna be like a cup of tea. It's just always a little bit stressful being around people and painting and listening all the people, you know, commenting or but that gives me a good clue. I remember when I was painting once, and a lot of people that was around me, like, I mean, I was it's just like these guys, they wanted to get closer to the paint. And then I was painting like an hour. Then somebody said, "No, it doesn't look like the model's face." And I was like, "Oh my god!" I hear it like a whisper. It was direct to my face. It was more like a whisper. And then I continued painting because I think you all paint here. You gotta just continue painting. And at some point, somebody said, "Oh, it looks pretty good," and I was like, "Oh, okay." That was kind of listening. Like for me, I was like, "Hey, you know what? I kind of just end up the session here. And I think that's gonna be okay." Yeah. Because if somebody says something like that, it's just like usually it's like the opinion of everybody. The same way that somebody says, "Hey, it doesn't look like him," it's like the opinion of everybody. It's kind of common that. I'm saying that because I have seen a few painters just painting in front of me, and with my friends we were just there and I said, "Hey, what do you think about the painting?" "I think it's going pretty good, but no, it's not getting the likeness. The volume is not okay." Yeah, but nobody says anything, you know. But if somebody just makes a comment, it's like everybody's thinking that. But just one person, it was too bold to say it. Then it's the same when the painting is good. It's like everybody says, "Yeah, the painting is good." And the thing is that, you know, I feel really good, like, to get that invitation. It's not like the School of Art here. It's not like the School of Art in my country. It's like the best in the world, but this is the School of Art. Uh, anyway, I cannot make it. No, I said to my friend, no, no, no way. You know what? I'm just gonna get crazy with all the things that you do. It's just too much. No, it was that's pretty simple, man. No, I know it's not simple. No, not at all. Yeah. Anyway, my ego was to the top, 100%. Okay, I see a sharp edge here. Yeah. These edges around the nose are pretty important. Okay, if you don't see them, maybe you don't see them, maybe because they are not there because of the light. Find a way to just make up then. It's gonna make the nose pop. Okay. Oh, I didn't mention her name. Uh, Her name is Eva Lopez. That's the principal, School of Arts principal. And his name is Mauro. Mauro. I don't know how to pronounce that in English. I don't know how to pronounce names. How to pronounce names in English. Sorry. Okay, let's see. I need to step back to see if I'm getting his tough face. No, a little bit. Not yet. Now I notice that I step back. I look at this eyebrow. It's really thick. Yeah, I need to work on that area. Okay. He has the thick, really thick eyebrows. Yeah, one of those times that I, I did that live demo when I was working as a teacher. That was kind of one of the conditions to take me as a teacher. Okay, and to make demos and say, okay, of course. I remember like so many times they pick up the model, like if we went to a school, high school, it was usually a teacher. And a few times I was the one that could pick up the model. And when there was my call, I usually pick up a guy or a girl that that has something characteristic. And this guy, this actor, makes me remember that I saw a teenager, and he has really thick eyebrows, and I thought I'm gonna paint that one. you know, at that time I got just like an hour to paint the portrait, and I need to get it just done in an hour. That was really really a challenge for me. But when you pick up somebody that has like something like that, it was I remember painting a couple of brush strokes for the eyebrows, and everybody was, "Oh, that's him," just joking around. I didn't paint anything more. It was just a mess. And I painted just the eyebrows. That was pretty funny. Yeah, and the thing is that, and one of those times somebody said, "Hey, paint this another teenager, a girl. She was so beautiful, a perfect face." And I would say, "Okay, I can pick up another one." Is when you see like a perfect face, tiny nose. You know, it's, in my experience, it's more difficult. I need more time. I need to see something like a big nose, big eyes, more eyes, something. Obviously, if I have more time, that's going to be okay, but when you don't have enough time, you got to pick up a face, a person that has something in particular that's going to be easy to capture. And even with that, you all know that's not easy. That's not easy to capture the likeness. Okay, and squinting down my eyes. Sometimes a mistake we make when we paint this area is this: we paint light there, and this light, when you squint down your eyes, this light should be kind of in this area. Look at the relationship between the light, the midtone, and the shadow. It shouldn't be as bright as the light on the forehead. Okay, if that's as bright as the light on the forehead, that means that you need to knock down that. That's what I see when I'm squinting down my eyes. I don't see this light that is too bright as the light on the forehead. Okay. Now double check that. Take a picture, make it darker, or squint down your eyes as much as possible. Okay. And I paint few wrinkles on his forehead. Oh, Sylvie's asking me, what's the part that is most difficult for you to paint, and what is the part that you like to do the most? Okay. I find like, I think you're speaking about just the face, yeah? Yeah. Oh, okay. No, that's so difficult. It's just like, I don't pay attention to something in particular. One thing that I just left always behind are the ears. It's not like I don't like to paint ears. I always, make a joke around painting ears that I don't like it. The thing is that I don't want to spend a lot of time on the ears when I got a lot of problems to solve on the face. Is that, but to say that something, no, no. Like, to be honest, no. I don't. I don't know. Maybe it's like I find everything difficult on the face. Okay, and it's just like I don't know how to explain it, but imagine that solving problems. Okay, and I'm kind of moving around to solve a problem here in this area, here and there. Yeah, and while you're doing that, it's kind of at the same time you enjoy the process. It's like listening maybe your favorite song, and you like it a lot. Okay, and then it's a lot of combination between feelings, and but definitely there are a lot of frustration when you're painting until you maybe pass the 2 hours. In my case, the 2 hours, then I start feeling something like, oh wow, I like it. That was pretty good. Before that, it's not. You know, I always moving around the face, looking here, comparing, looking up, down. Okay, trying to see the whole face, check out the structure, check out the likeness. It's just too much to kind of enjoy something. Um, I heard somebody saying that painting a portrait is not like you feel you enjoy this. It's more like running a marathon, and the reward that as at the end is that what you're looking for. Kind of I feel like that during the process. I gotta just think about what to do, like comparing and seeing what I didn't paint, what I need to paint, what I need to fix, what I did paint it wrong. Okay, in the middle of that, I think about things that I know, because at some point I check out my painting, like right now, and I'm thinking, is this value the same as this one? It looks like it is. Okay, I gotta do something here. I'm not checking out the photograph. I'm just thinking, okay, let's make this brighter. No lighter, brighter. And then for that, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just can just pick up yellow and white. This could be the same value as this one, but since it has yellow, it's gonna be brighter. Okay, and I'm thinking I need to make a difference between the light here and the light here and here. Okay, and what about the light on the chin? Yeah, and now that's me thinking about lights. Okay, light here, 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 and now I think, what about volume? Okay, this area looks rounded enough, because in this portion we need to see that there's something rounded. Okay, when you think about that, and thinking about volume, and I cannot think about the whole face when I'm working just here. The only way that I have to kind of control that is when I step back and I see the whole paint. But it's just like you're not able to paint here and think about the mistake you had here. Okay, but that's why you paint, you step back and check out the relationship between this and this and this. Because this area, maybe you can get it really nice, amazing, the volume. You can feel the bone, the structure beneath it. Here, and you made it lighter than the nose. Okay, it's no good. You gotta fix it. You gotta make it darker. The value is wrong. Maybe the volume was good, but the value is wrong. If the value is wrong, it's not working, because it's not about finish up the eyes, finish up the nose perfectly. It's about the relationship between all of them. Okay. Okay, I have a question here. Hello, Ruslan. Hello from South Korea. Say thank you, great period. Thank you. Could you advise what is key in painting portraits of little children? Oh wow, that's the more difficult portraits. Oh, okay. I said I'm fine making them look like more difficult than adult people. That's for sure. Hmm. What color did you use to paint the shadow of his mustache? I added a little bit of green for this area. Okay. Oh, something pretty common here when we paint, and I have seen this in so many portraits. We paint this, the lip, like I have it just here. Okay, you see this sharp edge on top? Okay, you gotta think that there are muscles here that goes inside the mouth. There is a little bit of a, like a creeps, that's not know if that's the word, but the upper part, and that's the edge here. But on the corner of the mouth, you can feel how is the form is moving inside the mouth. And to create that illusion, you gotta just soften these areas. Okay, here and here. Now, next time that you paint the mouth, remember to do that. You don't even need to see the photograph that you're painting from. That's about muscles. That's about the structure of the face. Okay, and every face follow the same. Okay. Now another thing. Don't leave a sharp edge here between the lips. What you see is just one lip in top of the others. What you see on the nose here, you see a cast shadow, yeah? Yeah? You know the shadow is just this. There's a cast shadow from the nose on top of this area. Okay? The same is here. There's a cast shadow on top of the bottom lip. Okay? That's pretty tricky. How are you going to represent that? Now here, obviously, we don't have time to go over those details. The faster way to represent that is just making this blurry. Imagine that you have a camera. You're a camera. You take a picture and you decide where to make it, blurry, out of focus, and where to make it really sharp. Every time that you see a cast shadow, that's soft edge. Okay, but what we tend to do is making this sharp. Okay, what else happens when one object is next to another? That would be the upper lip to the bottom lip. There's going to be a reflected light here. Okay, all this. Do you see the reflected light on the photograph? To be honest, I don't see it. Maybe if I light up the photograph, but no, I don't see it because I got too much light here on my studio. But that's the thing that, okay, the knowledge about this, about how the light bounces, what happens, and that knowledge is pretty common. When you paint, let's say, an apple inside a table, you paint the shadow there here, yeah? Yeah. I'm pretty sure everybody was going to paint a shadow. Yeah? Yeah. Now, why we don't paint the shadow from the upper lip on the bottom lip? Yeah? Why we don't paint the shadow from the upper eyelid on the eye, over the eye? There's a cast shadow here. Okay? Why we paint just the white of the eye just white? Okay, remember that learning to paint is learning to see. The more we paint, the more we see these things. What makes this faster, this process of learning? Okay, knowledge. How you get the knowledge? Reading books or just listening to somebody that knows this. Okay, and repetition. Pretty sure you're gonna know this, or maybe you knew this, but you still don't see it on your paintings. Your paintings maybe still look cartoonish, And that's the reason that we think that there are a lot of edges, sharp edges everywhere. That in order to see the separation between one form and the other, we need detail, a lot of detail. Okay, now we need details at the beginning because at the beginning we lay down a brush stroke. That's going to have a sharp edge. Okay, but at some point we need to make that sharp edge blurry. Okay, remember that's what we see when we know that we're starting to see those things. You know, the more we know, the more we see. The simple as that. Knowledge help you all to see more. Help us to see more. Okay, there are a few things that I paint based on the things that I know, not the things that I see. Okay, and one thing is just the reflected light on the upper lip. To be honest, I don't see it. Pretty sure if I light up the photograph, I would see that. But I didn't see that clearly. But I know it has to be there. The same way I know that there gotta be a reflected light below the nose. Yeah, here. Yeah, this. If there is a reflected light there, it has to be a reflected light on there too. Yeah. And then we start, when we know that, we start looking for those things here and there on every portrait we paint. Let's see more questions here. Oh, about kids, painting children, painting child. I'm gonna tell you, there is not an answer. There's no solution that a magic solution. That's difficult for every painter, and especially the age. We paint kids and we got them older. That happened to me, so often. It's just pay a lot of attention, compare a lot, take a picture, put it upside down, use a mirror. The only way to get that is just by comparing a lot, because we're trying to capture a few details. And when we paint and learn the basics, proportions, kids has a bigger head, a smaller face, bigger head, a smaller face here. Okay, that happens with all kids you're gonna paint. The younger is the kid, the smaller, the bigger is the head. The bigger is the head. Just 1 second, please. Okay. Oh, more questions. Spooky Craft saying neutral paint. What point do you use the thinner and when do you switch over to medium? Yeah, I don't use any medium and any thinner. But if I would use it, or if I have used it sometimes, at the beginning, you just add I know that difference between thinner and medium. I don't see a difference. I just use a medium. Linseed oil. That's the thing that I use at the first layer. But not for when I paint at a prima. I have seen painters using a thin layer with a lot of medium and what I think is even torpenoid. But I mean, for me, it's kind of difficult to do that. I prefer just to paint with just directly with the paint. Now, when I'm planning to paint here and let it dry and add a second layer, that's different. In that case, I could use tropenoid, for the first layer, let it dry, and go over just with maybe linseed oil or just with paint, just without any medium. Yeah, but I mean, it's not a right answer about that. If I gotta say what I have learned, it was like the first layer you use more medium, okay, and the next layers, distinct fat over lean, okay, that just that rule, fat over lean. Yeah. When I was a student, I never understood completely the rule. Was for me, it was more about adding a base, and sometimes I wanted the base to be thicker. But I remember my teacher telling me, "No, you gotta be thinner. You gotta be like watercolor." But it was like, okay, but I don't like it. It's just like I don't like it. It's too transparent. It was and usually when I was in the school of art, usually you kind of follow the rules. A teacher says we're gonna do this, and everybody does that. Well, that's pretty good. For me, it was pretty good because it was about learning the basics. Yeah? And the last year, it was about do whatever you want. Don't ask the teacher anything. Just do whatever you want. But the thing about mediums, I don't remember a teacher telling me, "Hey, use this or use this." It was just like, just whatever you want, what you feel comfortable with. But when I was about the process, this technique, fat overlean, that was always the same. First layers with tropenoid, second layer, a mixture between tropenoid or turpentine and linseed oil, 50-50. And after that, the next layer, more linseed oil than tropenoid. And the thing is that sometimes I forgot to use the medium. It was like, now what? I'm breaking the rule or what? I didn't add any medium to my oil paint. That was always my doubt because the technique is like, sounds pretty precise, sounds like, yeah, 50% of this, 50% of that. But when you're painting, sometimes you forget to pick up sometimes the medium. And that makes your layer completely fat. Yeah? But anyway. Okay, let's see. This guy, on all his movies, he's, uh, some really tough guy, uh, killer, something like. I never seen this guy, this actor, just playing a role of a nice guy. It's always the villain, not the hero. It's almost 2 hours. Yeah, I think I'm doing pretty good. Oh, spooky. Roslan saying, thank you, Renzo. Is there a preferred set of colors and values for the kids' portraits? Oh no. Any color, that's gonna be okay. We can paint a portrait with something pretty simple, like the summer palette. Yeah, we can get away with a nice portrait just with the summer palette, or just with a lot of colors. Okay, it's just like it's not gonna be about that. I think the beauty about the portrait is gonna be about the values and the drawing, volume. Yeah, that's the thing, that those things are not like on the materials, on the colors. Yeah. Obviously there's an advantage when we have more colors and better pigments, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I'm not saying that, that's gonna make a difference. Yeah, but that's gonna make a difference when you got first the drawing and the values. But that's not gonna make a difference if somebody's a beginner. Yeah. I'm not saying go and buy the cheapest paints or use always a limited palette. But I'm just trying to say that there are more important things on painting a portrait than the palette. And I could say that since you want to pay attention, or obviously you're facing the same problems that we are faced when we paint kids, the likeness, getting the kids a little bit older or a lot older, I would say choose a limited palette. Why? Because in that way you don't have to think about a lot of about mixing. A short palette, that would be pretty nice. That would be enough, I think. In that way you can just pay attention to the drawing. And another technique that could be useful as a grisaille. A grisaille is like just a drawing. Yeah? And since there is no color, again, you don't pay attention to color. You kind of, let's say, more relaxed to think about likeness, values, and all of those things. Okay. Now, for example, I'm thinking that if I got this rounded enough, okay, and for me, like, I don't care about color right now. I care about this, but I gotta mix the same color to match this. Yeah, but at the beginning, I established the colors. Kind of unrelaxed about that, but I gotta think I need maybe more shadow here to create this bump. Okay, that's gonna be part of the likeness. Is that rounded enough? No, then I'm gonna stay more here, a little bit darker. And the same here, a little bit darker here, a little bit darker here. Wow, that's a lot to think about, when it's just like building up a puzzle, a huge puzzle. And then how you're gonna just, I'm trying to say, at some point you're gonna say, who cares about the colors I got on the palette when I got so many things that to solve here? It looks pretty difficult. I prefer a few colors on my palette. And I got solved all of this, then I want to think about colors. Bring me all the 100 colors you want, but not before. All these things that I'm doing right now is for volume. Okay, otherwise the face is gonna look flat. I don't want the face look flat. And at some point you think about edges because you don't want the face look cartoonish. Yeah? And when you're thinking about the shadow, you're thinking, hey, this is not a flat shadow. This shadow, it has a core shadow, a midtone, and a reflected light. And then you start screaming out loud like, oh my God, this is too much. Okay. And on this shadow, I need a darker shadow there. Now, I'm thinking about shadows, midtones, and the position of that one is okay. I'm creating the volume here, the roundness here. And what else about his face? I see a midtone here. That's about his face. A bump, whatever it is, but it's about his face. What I mean is not something about anatomy, it's just whatever it is, but it's about just his face. When it's about anatomy, it's for example here. We need to make this rounded because we see that on every human face. Okay, I need a little bit of light with a little bit of green here. I'm just going to make this rounded. I'm trying to make this area rounded the same way here. Okay. Oh, I got a question. I was told to get mineral spirits and walnut oil. Yeah, yeah. That's good. Yeah. Is first layer just focus on shadows or skin color too? Shadows and skin color, values and skin color. There's no way, I mean, there's no way to separate skin color from shadows, midtones, and lights. There's no way. The only way is when we paint something flat. If we paint a piece of paper that's red, what are you gonna do? You just pick up red and paint it flat. That's flat. As soon as you rolled that piece of paper, you rolled up that piece of paper, you cannot paint that with just one color. You need a value scale. Okay, and we assume that about the face. We need a value scale to paint the face. And that here is my value scale. Okay, I forgot to number then on the classes. I used to put numbers here, and that way everybody can follow me. Yeah, that's always the same. For to paint anything, it's not just to paint the face. What happens that the face is more complex, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of bumps, a lot of there's a lot of here. On the eye, there are a lot of values. It's just that, but we paint all of them, slowly, and we simplify too. We don't need to get all those details here and there. Important ones to represent volume. That's gonna be enough. Gotta be careful when you paint in one area. Step back always and check out around. Think about values. Is this value too light, too dark, in relationship to what? Another mid-tone or another lighter value. What's the lighter value? The nose. No lighter value is gonna be as light as the nose. Hmm? Okay, okay, Roslam, what do you think about when picking a reference photo? To be honest, that kind of difficult. It just changed. Maybe it could. I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking to paint a woman, an actress, and I was just looking for photographs, and just this photograph. I saw this one, and I thought, wow, look at the expression. Yeah. Yeah, just that. That was enough for me to paint him. But sometimes I gotta just spend a lot of time trying to find a good photograph. Now, one thing for sure, when it's not speaking about expression, about just the photograph, you gotta see light and shadows. You know, if you don't see the shadows, you're gonna face so many problems there. Okay, because of the shadows, we see the lights. Squinting down my eyes. I have here black and a little bit of alizarin crimson and cadmium red. I just wanna just add some accents here and there. Oh no, the color of his eyes. No, somebody knows. Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh, Juna was asking me, what what to consider when using a photo, what mistakes to avoid. And another question is, how do you choose your background color? Yeah, but look at my painting. Looks like I don't know how to choose a background color. Look at this. Doesn't look okay. Yeah, but what mistakes to avoid? In the first stage, I would say about proportion. I would say proportions. Okay, pay a lot of attention about proportion. Like the alignment of the eyes. Sometimes we got one eye a little bit up than the other. Okay, and measure. You gotta measure. Measure is the best way to avoid any proportion mistake. Okay, you got that. The next on values. Okay, be sure about the darker values. Care a lot about the darker values. Those are the ones that are gonna just make the painting, not the lighter ones. The lighter ones are the easy ones, but we're not gonna see lighter ones if we don't have shadows. Okay, and in the last stage, care about edges a lot. I got a question so often: how I make my painting look less cartoonish? The answer is edges. Think always that the painting is full of soft edges, no sharp edges. You don't need to paint a lot of details because edges are or sharp edges and are related to details because we want to paint a lot of details. Details. We want details. We think details are the ones that wanna just make the painting look beautiful. Okay, and they're gonna make the painting look beautiful, but not at the beginning. Not when you're a beginner. Okay. And I don't know if that's it or I'm forgetting something. I need to make the nose a little bit wider. Okay. Hello, Atelier CHD. Thank you, KGHC. Spooky Craft, what is the main focus for a beginner in your opinion? Drawing, proportions. That would be it. Because uh, what happens if we don't get the proportions? One thing is the likeness. Okay, now forget about the likeness. The likeness is something that's gonna happen just slowly. Okay, proportions is gonna be about the distance from the eyebrow, nose, chin, alignment of the eyes. All of these things. The thing is that if we don't get that pretty good, it's kind of the paint and the values. They're gonna do too much. Okay, you're gonna see that mistake first before seeing that the color is beautiful or the values are perfect. I remember myself just when I was just painting a portrait a long time ago, or just right now, it could be, last week, that I painting a portrait, was thinking, hey, I got all the values, I got all the ages, and all of a sudden I noticed that one eye is just a little bit up than the other. It's just like, I don't care about anything more. The painting is just ruined. Okay? Now, that's gonna happen to everybody, for sure. Don't be so hard on yourself. And what I usually have done all my life is just move on to the next painting. Okay? It's just that. Move on to the next painting. Yeah. And remember, it's not about finish up just one painting or putting 200 hours in one painting. It's about painting 100 paintings in those 200 hours. The more you paint, the better you get. It's not about, that's why they would say that don't go over all those details that you want, because I know, if somebody's at the beginning wants what you want. I know that, everybody has been a beginner at some point. What I wanted to capture the color. For me, that was like I was crazy about color. I was mixing on a palette knife, pick up the color like this. I went really close to the model's face, and I was doing that this all the time. For the shadow, for the light. My teacher was like, hey, check out the whole everything, step back and check out the relationship of the values on your palette. And I was like, I don't care about that. I want to capture the color, the skin color. Next thing, I want to capture the likeness. That's a crazy. I wanted likeness. I want people to say, hey, it looks like him, it looks like her. With time, I learned that just is like step by step. And no painting is going to be perfect. I remember just like moving on to the next painting, always thinking that's going to be better, obviously. Practice makes perfection. If not perfection, at least, I believe for sure on that, okay? My son so many times asks me, I'm not able to do this. I say, practice. That's the only way to get better on something, practice. But I don't have talent. Okay, that doesn't exist, man. The only thing that exists is practice. Okay, we know that we can say that talent exists, obviously. But for me, I always just move just thinking that it's about practice. And I keep that with me. Oh, something is wrong here. Oh, the other question, how do you choose the background? Simple rule, just choose the complementary color or analogous color. That means that kind of the same color. Closer. Okay. Hello, Mark. Thank you. Spooky Craft saying you could go back to when you first started painting portraits. What's 5 things you wish you could have known? The thing is this. It's not the things that I could have known. It's not about that. I think I got all the knowledge from my teachers. Okay? The thing was about me. it was not about the knowledge. It was about just the things that I wanted, that I thought were important. Like just what I mentioned, just going to with my palette knife, getting closer to capture the color. I thought that was the, and I could change that. I could listen more. I could shut up and listen more, and listen to people that knows, and just do what they say. And not thinking that and what I want. But as a teacher, I have seen that so many times. Like once I remember one student she was like, I want to paint a tree. And I was like, I want to learn to paint trees. Okay, let's practice, let's paint some trees. Yeah. Okay, we're going to go upside. No. First, we're going to just draw cylinders. I was like, what? Cylinder? Yeah, we need to learn the primary form. A tree is just a cylinder with a lot of texture on top. If you don't know the principle of the primary form, how are you going to paint a tree? There's no way. You're going to get anything but nothing that looks like a tree with volume, three-dimensionality. And she was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to paint just a tree. But there's no way just to paint just one tree. You got to learn the basics. And then from there you move on and paint 1,000 trees. Not just one three. Yeah. But then she just skipped my class. It wasn't a painting class. It was a theory class. She skipped it, and she was like, I don't want to just get into this class. This teacher, he doesn't want to teach me how to paint a tree. He want to teach me how to paint, a cylinder. Okay, I was kind of like that when I was younger. I mean, not that to the extreme, but when I was a skin color or the portrait, yeah. But my mom, she's a painter. I mean, she doesn't paint anymore, but she was a painter. And I think that kind of gave me some confidence, and at the same time, something that wasn't okay, that I wanted something, and I thought that I got some information. But that's why I always focus myself on the things that I wanted, and I listen so many things, but skip on few things. That's something that I would change. Another thing that I would change, that would be practice more. Maybe it was just like when I was in my 20s, I was like that. That was the first time that I went to another country to work as a painter. And for me, I think I was 19. And for a 19 guy to be hired to be a painter, it was like, for me, it was like, oh my God, I'm the best. you know? And it took me a few years to know that it wasn't even close to nothing that I thought. But just to have that opportunity, and that's something that I would change, just to, because when I got that feeling at that age, I kind of stopped investigating. It's just like, for me, it was like, oh, I know enough. Stop looking for information. I stopped checking more things. And nowadays, I'm 53, and I feel like I'm learning every day, and checking videos on YouTube every day. I listen in podcasts about painting, about art. I was just watching the videos today about composition. It's just like I'm still learning, and I'm proud of that I can still learn more and more. That's a thing that would change about myself. What do you think? Maybe you'll have the same experience. when you were younger? I'm painting a shadow here. I'm being careful to see the reflected light. He has a bump here and a bump here. Okay, what about the background? Oh, well, I have a problem with the background here. I don't like it. I want a sharp edge just to make the face pop. Now here too. That's why I don't paint the ears. Because I still gotta do a lot of things on the face. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna add a little bit of green. Just a tiny bit of this green here. Do you think that's okay? I'm gonna move this back. The same here. What else? What else? And just a little bit of paint on this brush. It's the same brush that I'll be using for blending. I just laying down some brush strokes like this, just to get a little bit of texture. Okay. Adding more colors, just touches, touches. Almost done. Oh, Spooky Craft question here. What palette do you use? What colors do you mean? Okay, what the colors I use? This is titanium white. Here it was at the beginning Naples yellow, but I changed it to cadmium yellow light, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, raw umber, ultramarine blue, and ivory black. What else? I'm gonna make these shadows a bit darker. Okay, I think I'm almost done. Okay, a little bit of violet here, just a tiny bit. Purple more than violet. A dark green, just some touches.
La educación es el puente para prosperar. Eligiendo Clorox, apoya a UNICEF y al futuro de los niños.
Okay, I'm done. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Okay. Thank you, Brenda. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Susanna. Thank you, Amelie. Okay. Brad Harper is saying now I see the importance of sharp edges to create depth. Yeah. I wanted to paint a little bit of the ears, but it's gonna be almost 3 hours. I'm gonna take a rest because we have a drawing session in an hour and a half. You know, you all can join my Patreon account where you can see more videos and paint along with me if you want to. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. See you all next time, next week. Take care, you all. Okay. Bye. Wait, one thing. I want to do just one thing. Yeah. Okay. That's it.